Hi. You know, Chevron Supreme Plus Unleaded has the highest octane in British Columbia. It also has the cleaning power of Tetraline. It's the supreme example of our unleaded leadership. So if you want the very best, remember, Chevron Supreme Plus Unleaded towers above all the others. You rang, sir?
Chevron, your town pump.
I'm Wayne Cox.
And I'm Jennifer Lyle. Join us each week on Variety Tonight.
It's an up-to-the-minute lowdown on the entertainment scene in Canada and around the world.
Saturday nights at 10:30 on CBC.
Night. Evening all, I'm Stu Jeffries, and yes, you heard correctly. We're dedicating our entire 60 allotted minutes to what's big in Britain. Now, some names you've heard, some you haven't, but I guarantee a variety of great stuff, including the Paul McCartney Grand Prize Trivia winner. Well, you've heard from Harrison, and now it's McCartney, most recently featured live at Nebworth. Paul is involved with Friends of the Earth, an environmental group with whom he shares a deep concern for the future of this planet.
As a parent, and as a person anyway, I'm just concerned about the way we're polluting the planet, you know. And I think all of us have been concerned, kind of, for a number of years now. But you tend to just sort of think, well, it's not my problem. Someone else will sort it, a government will sort it. I was talking to someone yesterday about people like, for instance, in New York, have got more problems on the streets than they've got in the ozone. Mm-hmm. So it's very difficult to kind of, for everyone to know that we are actually going to goof this one beautiful planet in the universe if we don't watch out. So, but I think this year, with the arrival of the news that there's an actual hole of the Antarctica that's 50... Shut up!
I'm sorry.
Barry Marshall to Clive, shut up! With the arrival of the news that there's a 50-mile hole in the atmosphere, which isn't closing unless we really do some serious stuff about it, and that the sun's harmful rays are going to get through that, it just does look like we're just soiling our nest. And we're the only species on Earth that does it, you know. You won't find a bird shitting in its nest, for want of a better way of putting it. They sort of go somewhere else. They go out on a branch to do it. We do it right there. Bingo. Hey. You know, I think the people I meet, you know, where I live, out on tour and stuff, I think people really would, if given the chance, they'd like to live in a kind of place where the rain didn't have acid in it. It'd help. You know, and where you could go in a river without thinking, oh, that maybe there's some pollutants in here, or a lake, or the sea near us. I mean, in England, we like accept nuclear waste from places like Japan. We like making a business out of it. We just stick it in a concrete container and put it under the sea somewhere. Like as if it's a bright idea, you know, well, it's making us money. I mean, but there are too many people out there now to just say that is not a bright idea. Got to be a better way to deal with all this stuff. So I'm kind of looking to people like us, seeing as the government doesn't look like they're going to do it, I think we should put pressure on them. And I think, you know, we're addressing a lot of young people, shows like this, the show. They're not all young people, but there are a lot of young people there who'll get a chance to vote. And I think when they do, they should kick out the politicians who won't do it. They're only our elected representatives. They're not God. And we put them there to do what we want, so I think we ought to tell them what we want.
You've got a great perspective on the rock and roll biz, as it were, and I'm just curious, as Bad Company sees it, what do you see out there that you hate, and what do you see out there that was the big change and detrimental and so on and so forth?
Very light question to start the proceedings.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, it's either that or did you hate your mother? And that's the only thing I can think of.
Nah, I mean, nowadays it's very much a business. You know, there's not really that much feeling behind a lot of these records now. You know, a lot of artists are manufactured, and you know, that's on the downside. I think on the upside, I can't really think.
My only notice of changes nowadays is that there are too many keyboards involved in today's music. Yeah. Too many synthesizers, too many one-finger players.
Electronics, that's what it is. Yeah.
And that seems to have spoilt it for all the people that used to have to learn to play an instrument. Now you can go to a keyboard store and just press a button and it practically writes a song for you. So the thing that I think the main trouble is, 5 years down the road, there's going to be wonderful keyboards around, but no one that can actually play a guitar, which is worrying. I mean, guitar and drums.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what rock and roll is all about.
Machines and, you know, sequences and synthesizers. Bring back good old guitars and proper drums. Absolutely. Come and see us.
No, the Bad Company sound is all about space. It's all about emptiness. and letting the sounds come through and sound huge. Where most bands, because of keyboards, if there's any gaps in music nowadays, they fill it with a keyboard, or they fill it with a sound, or just a texture. And that's where Bad Company always used to score.
Straight, and as sad as it might be, straight honest-to-God rock and roll is not standard board of fare these days. I mean, with that, were you at all concerned about that, or does it matter to you anymore?
I think the guitar is going to come back big time. You know, I keep harping on these keyboards because I would like to start...
He doesn't like keyboards, this guy.
I'm going to start a society, you know, about the abolition of all keyboards and their players in Canada, and I'm opening an office in Vancouver. So those that wish to apply to obliterate keyboard playing as we know it on this planet should please join up.
PO Box, the NRA, Vancouver, British Columbia.
No, I think you'll find that guitars are definitely going to be on their way back. You know.
I mean, if you look at the top 40, I would say at a guess that about 50% of them are manufactured. You know, drum machines. You know, these
even more so, yeah.
You know, and it's a shame. It kind of desensitizes everything. It takes the soul out of everything. But you know, on the other hand, there are still some very good songs around. You know, it hasn't really changed that much. It's just the way that they're made.
Do you think playing live is what it used to be, too? Do you think it's still the same magic out there?
Well, it is.
I like it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Has it ever got tired for you?
Where was it? Somewhere in Missouri. I started thinking about something else.
Yeah, didn't you?
No, where I could get a nice steak in the middle of Feel Like Making Love, it wasn't.
I must admit, there are some days after travelling all day, you sit in the dressing room before the show and you think, I really, really don't want to do this tonight. You know, on the very rare occasion that happens, as soon as the lights go down, you know,
you get the adrenaline.
Yeah, you go do it. So,
well, something was made this crazy moment.
Andy, welcome. Thank you. Chains of, that's amazing. I mean, it's breaking North America, taking North America by storm. This is the first opportunity that Canada's had to see you, at least in the flesh. So let's start with a little background from Erasure.
Well, we were about 3.5 years old. Vince was in some other pub bands before I joined, namely Depeche Mode and Yazoo, and he was sort of, I think, going through a glut period, you know, so he decided to advertise for somebody in a music paper. So I went along for the audition. I was just a little starlet in London, living in London, you know, hoping I was going to get my break and stuff like that. And I've been doing just demo tapes on my own. And I went along for the audition, and they phoned me. This was at the weekend. They phoned me on the Monday and said, do you want to do the job?
Has everything gone according to plan, do you think, according to what you thought, or are you a little surprised by all the...
Not always. I mean, I'm sort of always an eternal optimist anyway, you know, and I thought, you know, from when we first started, because Vince was, like, relatively well-known, I thought, right, this is my passport and everything, and we're going to be really big, sort of like tomorrow, and stuff like that, and we weren't. It took, like, 2 years, and I just think it was really good because it just gave me time to prepare for everything, you know. And even this the record only just now happening in America, it sort of it gives you sort of like time to get used to things very gradually rather than being thrown in completely.
As Chains starts screaming into the top 10, soon to be top 5, can you tell me a little bit about the song, how it came to be, and about the video?
With the Innocence album, there I don't know if you heard anything about this. There was a new legislation going through called Clause 28, and it was about not that no local authority or school or anything like that is allowed to promote homosexuality, and it's all tied in with the AIDS scare, you know, and the papers were running rampant with just totally untrue stories about people and stuff, you know, so the album, why we called it The Innocence, was because we thought, well, most of these people that have got AIDS are sort of like just people, innocent victims of circumstance, really, and so are most people that are involved in natural disasters and stuff, and it usually happens to the people that are the lowest of the low, you know. And Chains of Love was really about that. It was really about just people needing to stick together and, you know, never mind about what anybody else is telling you or screaming down your, you know, in your face or anything. Just stick to your own morals and your own principles, and as long as you believe that you're doing good and that you're helping people, just to carry on, you know. That's what it's about, really.
Now, the next single, well, let's go on assumption's sake, will be the third single here in the UK, which is...
A Little Respect.
A Little Respect. Now,
yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that, too, so that when we do go there, a little later on down the road, we have...
Yeah, I mean, that's really, it's the same thing all over again. You know, it's just saying, you know, give a little respect to me. You know, I'm a human being. I'm no different from anybody else. You know, I've got feelings. You know, it doesn't matter who you love. That's it.
Get Sunshine on Leith, first of all. Where is that? Where is Leith?
Leith is the port area of Edinburgh, which is the capital city of Scotland, and it's where we were born. And it's called sometimes Sunny Leith because it's like the only point of that part of the east of Scotland that if you get sunshine, it generally does sort of fall on there because it's right by the ocean, you know. But it doesn't get much sunshine, but the locals sometimes will call it Sunny Leith. So that was sort of play on words in the album, you know.
Welcome to the Rockin' Tonight.
Hello.
Nice to be talking to you. How many pieces of Fairground Attraction?
Two. Half.
Oh, two, half.
Half of Fairground Attraction. We need a little background on this. This record, Perfect, has gone like #1, and as we were talking about. Where? #1 here in the UK.
Spain, Australia, and Hong Kong, Ireland. I think that's it, yeah.
My God, it's on its way to North America. Hopefully to take that place by storm as well. So we need a little background on Fairground Attraction. What's the story of the group?
Well, it started, I suppose, the very beginning of the band was when Eddie, the singer, and myself started playing about 5 years ago, and just for fun, really, in pubs around London. And it was something we did as a release from the sort of business side of things that we were involved in, which was so music business, and Eddie was doing a lot of touring as a backing vocalist for people like Alison Moyet and the Eurythmics. And that was sort of interesting, but it wasn't exactly... She wanted to be a singer in her own right. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted to write certain kind of songs that I didn't feel fitted in with the business that we know now, with all drum machines and synthesizers and what have you. So it was something that we did as a release, not really expecting that it would ever really come to where it's come to now.
Yeah, you were at #1 in the UK with Perfect, and that's kind of unusual in the fact that they don't particularly like that kind of music to go up to #1, or it seems to us when we look at the charts. Is that the case?
Well, it was an unusual #1, there's no doubt about it, and we certainly didn't expect that, did we? It was absolutely dumbfounded.
We didn't even want to release it, did we?
I mean, we didn't particularly want Perfect to be the first single because we were concerned that people would get the wrong idea of the band, because the album is quite different in a way from Perfect. It's very diverse in its influences, takes a lot from jazz and folk and even Latin American music. And Perfect was the most straight-ahead pop song. And obviously that's the one that RCA wanted to release because of that. Which, I mean, we like the song, we love the song, you know, and but it wasn't our first choice necessarily because we were scared that people might get the wrong impression. But now, here in the UK and in Europe, we're on our 3rd singles just coming out, and a lot of people have bought the album, and the identity of the band is quite clear now.